Hi guys, today we are going to find out what if Cleopatra had actually succeeded in uniting the entire Mediterranean under her rule. You're standing in Alexandria's royal palace, watching as scrolls cascade from Cleopatra's desk like ancient spreadsheets of ambition. The air crackles with possibility as she traces her finger across a map, spanning from Gibraltar to the Black Sea. You probably won't survive this alternate timeline. The sheer audacity of what you're witnessing would make Caesar himself reach for his anxiety medication. Her emerald eyes gleam as she calculates trade routes, military positions, and diplomatic marriages with the precision of a master chess player. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. You watch her summon advisors from across her kingdom, each carrying intelligence about Roman weaknesses and potential Mediterranean allies. The Queen's voice carries absolute conviction, as she declares her intention to forge the greatest empire the ancient world has ever imagined. Feel free to drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing where this journey takes us around the globe. Her plan isn't just conquest, it's a complete reimagining of Mediterranean civilization under Egyptian leadership and Hellenistic culture. Now, sit back and let's dive into today's alternate journey together. You sense history itself holding its breath as Cleopatra begins drafting the letters that will reshape the known world forever. You watch as Cleopatra's first diplomatic courier ships slip out of Alexandria's harbor under cover of dawn's golden light. Their destination, Carthage, where Phoenician merchants have nursed grudges against Rome for over a century since their city's destruction. You follow the Queen's envoys as they present scrolls sealed with Egyptian gold to the rebuilt Carthaginian council. The offer is irresistible. Shared control of Mediterranean trade routes in exchange for naval support against their common Roman enemy. Meanwhile, you witness similar negotiations unfolding across Greek city-states from Athens to Syracuse, each promised restored independence under Egyptian protection. Cleopatra's genius lies in understanding what each potential ally wants most. The Carthaginians crave revenge, the Greeks desire freedom. You observe as Macedonian generals, still loyal to Alexander's legacy, pledge their veteran phalanxes to Egypt's pharaoh queen. Even Gallic chieftains, smarting from Caesar's conquests, send secret emissaries offering their fierce warriors for the coming campaign. You see the queen's spymaster network spreading across the Mediterranean like an invisible web, gathering intelligence on Roman troop movements. Each alliance comes with carefully negotiated terms. Local autonomy in exchange for military cooperation and trade privileges. Within months, you witness Rome's worst nightmare materializing as former enemies unite under Cleopatra's diplomatic banner. The Queen's palace becomes a bustling hub of international intrigue, with delegates from dozens of peoples plotting Rome's downfall. You stand in Alexandria's massive shipyards as the sound of hammers and saws creates a symphony of preparation. Egyptian craftsmen work alongside Phoenician naval architects, combining centuries of Mediterranean seafaring knowledge into revolutionary ship designs. You witness the birth of vessels unlike anything the ancient world has seen. Hybrid warships blending Egyptian size with Carthaginian speed. These new quinqueremes carry twice the normal complement of marines while maintaining unprecedented maneuverability in coastal waters. You watch as Cleopatra personally inspects each vessel, her naval expertise evident as she tests rigging and examines hull construction. The Queen's shipbuilders incorporate Greek fire technology, creating floating fortresses capable of devastating enemy fleets from unprecedented distances. You observe allied contingents arriving daily. Rhodian sailors famous for their navigation skills, Cretan archers renowned throughout the Mediterranean. Each allied fleet brings unique advantages that Cleopatra's admirals weave into an integrated naval doctrine of combined operations. You see the transformation of Alexandria's harbor into the ancient world's most sophisticated naval base, complete with dry docks and supply depots. Training exercises become daily spectacles as Egyptian, Carthaginian, and Greek crews learn to coordinate their movements with mathematical precision. Within a single campaigning season, you witness the emergence of a fleet numbering over 800 warships and support vessels. Rome's spies report back in terror. Egypt has achieved naval supremacy that makes their own Mediterranean dominance suddenly look fragile. You find yourself in the Roman Senate as emergency sessions convene with unprecedented urgency and barely concealed panic. Intelligence reports flood in from across the Mediterranean, each one painting a darker picture of Cleopatra's growing coalition. You watch senators who once dismissed Egypt as a declining power now frantically debating mobilization strategies and defensive preparations. Marcus Crassus's grandson pounds the podium, demanding immediate action against what he calls the Egyptian witches' conspiracy. You observe as Rome's legendary confidence crumbles under the weight of realizing they face not one enemy, but dozens united. The city's military commanders present sobering assessments. Roman legions are scattered across Gaul, Germania, and Britain, leaving Italy vulnerable. You witness heated arguments as some senators advocate negotiation, while others demand preemptive strikes against Egyptian shipping. Rome's treasury officials deliver devastating news. Financing a war against this coalition would bankrupt the Republic within 2 years. You see the empire's greatest weakness exposed. Their success depended on fighting enemies separately, never unified against them. Desperate messages go out to Roman governors across the provinces, recalling legions with urgent orders to defend the homeland. You watch as Rome's merchants begin hoarding grain and gold, sensing that their Mediterranean trade monopoly faces extinction. The Senate's final decree authorizes extraordinary powers for the consul, but you sense it may already be too late. You stand on Alexandria's lighthouse as the greatest naval gathering in ancient history unfolds before your eyes. Ships from every corner of the Mediterranean arrive in perfectly choreographed formations, their diverse flags creating a rainbow of rebellion. You witness Carthaginian vessels with their distinctive purple sails, anchoring alongside sleek Rhodian triremes and massive Egyptian grain ships. The harbor thrums with activity as Cleopatra's logistics officers coordinate supplies for over 100,000 sailors and marines. You observe the queen herself boarding her flagship, a magnificent vessel that combines Egyptian grandeur with cutting-edge naval technology. Allied commanders gather on deck for final strategy sessions, their unified presence symbolizing the end of Roman divide-and-conquer tactics. You watch as Gallic warriors adapt to shipboard life, their fierce battle cries echoing across the water during combat drills. Greek fire specialists demonstrate their devastating weapons to amazed Carthaginian captains, sharing centuries-old secrets of maritime warfare. You see the emotional moment when veterans of Carthage's destruction take their places alongside Egyptian marines, united by shared purpose. Signal flags flutter between ships as the entire fleet practices complex maneuvers that will soon terrorize Roman coastal defenses. The convergence represents more than military preparation. You're witnessing the birth of a truly international Mediterranean coalition. As dawn breaks on departure day, you feel the earth-shaking rumble of 800 ships preparing to reshape history. You watch from Sicily's rugged coastline as Cleopatra's massive fleet appears on the horizon like a deadly storm cloud. The island's Roman garrison, numbering barely 3,000 legionaries, stares in horror at the approaching armada of liberation. You witness the coordinated amphibious assault as Egyptian marines hit the beaches while Carthaginian ships blockade every harbor. Syracuse's gates swing open without resistance. The Greek population welcomes their Egyptian liberators with flowers and wine. You observe Roman commanders desperately trying to organize defense, but their divided forces crumble against unified Mediterranean tactics. Gallic warriors storm inland fortifications with berserker fury, while Greek archers provide devastating covering fire from elevated positions. You see the strategic brilliance unfold as Cleopatra's forces simultaneously attack multiple points, preventing Roman reinforcement coordination. Within 72 hours, you witness the fall of Messina, Sicily's last Roman stronghold, to combined Egyptian-Carthaginian siege warfare. The island's conquest showcases revolutionary military doctrine, integrated international forces operating with unprecedented tactical cohesion. You watch as Cleopatra personally accepts the surrender of Sicily's Roman governor, her victory speech promising restored Greek autonomy. Local populations celebrate in the streets as centuries of Roman taxation and cultural suppression finally end. The lightning campaign sends shockwaves across the empire. If Sicily could fall this quickly, nowhere was truly safe. You follow Cleopatra's fleet as it rounds Gibraltar's massive pillars, catching Roman Iberian garrisons completely off guard. The Western Gambit unfolds with surgical precision as Carthaginian navigators guide Egyptian warships through treacherous Atlantic currents. You witness the shock of Roman commanders in modern-day Spain, who expected threats from the east, never the sea. Lusitanian tribes, still bitter from decades of Roman subjugation, eagerly join forces with Cleopatra's Mediterranean coalition. You observe coordinated landings at Gades and New Carthage as Egyptian marines establish secure beachheads for the inland advance. The pincer movement becomes clear. While Rome focuses on Italian defenses, Iberia falls like dominoes behind their backs. You watch Gallic auxiliaries, fighting alongside their Spanish cousins, overwhelm Roman fortifications with unprecedented Celtic fury. Silver mines that funded Roman expansion for generations suddenly switch hands, financing Cleopatra's growing war chest instead. You see the psychological impact ripple eastward as Roman merchants realize their entire Western supply chain has vanished overnight. Local populations welcome Egyptian administrators who promise lighter taxation and respect for indigenous customs and religions. The Iberian campaign demonstrates Cleopatra's strategic genius: strike where enemies least expect while they're distracted elsewhere. Within months, you witness Roman Hispania transform into Egyptian Iberia, cutting off vital resources from the imperial heartland. You stand on the Aventine Hill as the unthinkable becomes reality. Enemy ships appear in the mouth of the Tiber River. Panic spreads through Rome's streets like wildfire as citizens witness Cleopatra's fleet blockading their eternal city from the sea. You observe desperate senators fleeing north toward Gaul, while common Romans barricade themselves behind hastily reinforced city walls. The siege begins with psychological warfare, as Egyptian ships display the heads of defeated Roman governors from Sicily and Iberia. You watch Gallic warriors seeking revenge for Caesar's campaigns, establish camps within sight of the forum's marble columns. Rome's grain supply vanishes overnight as Carthaginian vessels intercept every merchant ship attempting to reach Italian ports. You witness the city's water supply threatened as Cleopatra's engineers divert aqueducts with the same precision Romans once used against enemies. Former Roman subjects arrive daily to join the siege. Gauls, Germans, Britons, all eager to settle scores with their former masters. You see the empire's greatest irony unfold. The very peoples Rome conquered now surround their conquerors with unified purpose. Inside the city, you observe civil unrest as starving plebeians demand the Senate negotiate surrender terms with the Egyptian queen. The Forum, once heart of Mediterranean civilization, echoes with desperate debates about accepting Cleopatra's surprisingly generous peace offers. Rome's legendary walls, built to keep barbarians out, now trap the Romans inside their own crumbling stronghold. You witness Cleopatra's unprecedented approach to imperial governance as she transforms conquest into collaborative Mediterranean civilization. Former Roman territories don't become Egyptian colonies, but autonomous regions within a revolutionary federal system of shared governance. You observe Greek city-states regaining their classical independence while contributing naval expertise to the greater Mediterranean alliance. Carthaginian merchants establish new trade networks that span from Britain to the Black Sea, creating unprecedented economic prosperity. You see Gallic and Germanic tribes granted vast agricultural lands in exchange for military service and cultural exchange. The Queen's radical innovation emerges, a council representing every Mediterranean people, meeting annually in the restored Library of Alexandria. You watch as former enemies collaborate on massive infrastructure projects, roads, aqueducts, and harbors that benefit all member regions. Egyptian engineering combines with Roman organizational skills and Greek intellectual traditions to create technological marvels surpassing any single empire. You observe religious tolerance becoming imperial policy as Cleopatra respects local gods while promoting cultural exchange and learning. The new empire's official languages include Egyptian, Greek, Latin, and Carthaginian, reflecting its truly multicultural administrative approach. You witness the birth of Mediterranean universities where scholars from all traditions gather to advance human knowledge collectively. Trade flourishes as artificial barriers dissolve, creating wealth that even Rome's golden age never achieved across the ancient world. You stand in the Great Library of Alexandria 3 decades later, watching scholars from 30 different cultures collaborate on mathematical breakthroughs. Cleopatra's Mediterranean Federation has become history's first truly multicultural superpower, stretching from Atlantic shores to Arabian deserts. You observe trade caravans moving freely across borders that once sparked wars, carrying silk from China to silver from reformed Hispania. The Queen's revolutionary governance model inspires distant kingdoms as word spreads of prosperity achieved through cooperation rather than conquest. You witness technological innovations emerging from cultural fusion. Gallic metallurgy, enhanced by Egyptian chemistry, creates superior agricultural tools. Maritime exploration reaches unprecedented scales as combined Mediterranean knowledge opens sea routes to India and beyond. You see former Roman legionaries serving alongside Carthaginian marines in peaceful exploration missions rather than brutal conquest campaigns. The Federation's population enjoys living standards that surpass anything the ancient world has previously imagined or achieved. You observe Cleopatra, now in her 70s, training her daughter in diplomatic arts that will preserve this revolutionary civilization. Art and literature flourish as cultural cross-pollination creates new forms of human expression, celebrating Mediterranean diversity. The great irony becomes clear. By abandoning Rome's divisive conquest model, Cleopatra achieved far greater unity and lasting power. You realize you're witnessing an alternate timeline where cooperation triumphed over domination, creating a legacy that could endure millennia. 3 generations later, you walk through prosperous Mediterranean cities where children grow up speaking multiple languages and celebrating diverse traditions. The Federation's success demonstrates that empires built on mutual respect and shared prosperity prove more durable than those founded on fear. You observe annual festivals where former enemies celebrate their unity, remembering how Cleopatra's vision transformed the ancient world forever. Commerce, culture, and knowledge flow freely across the Mediterranean, creating a golden age that makes Rome's achievements seem primitive by comparison. The Queen's Great Experiment proves that human civilization reaches its highest potential when diversity is embraced rather than suppressed. You witness the Mediterranean Federation expanding peacefully into Africa and Asia, spreading Cleopatra's cooperative model to distant continents. In this alternate timeline, the fall of Rome becomes not a collapse of civilization, but its transformation into something far greater. As sunset paints Alexandria's harbor golden, you reflect on how one woman's audacious vision reshaped the entire course of human history. The Mediterranean breeze carries whispers of what might have been as you contemplate this remarkable alternate history. Cleopatra's vision of unity over division created a world where collaboration replaced conquest as the path to greatness. Her revolutionary federation proved that empires built on mutual respect endure far longer than those founded on fear and domination. The Queen's diplomatic genius transformed enemies into allies, creating prosperity that benefited every Mediterranean culture and tradition. In our timeline, Rome's fall marked civilization's decline, but here it became transformation into something infinitely more magnificent. This alternate world demonstrates humanity's potential when diversity is celebrated rather than suppressed through brutal imperial force. Cleopatra's legacy reminds us that sometimes the greatest victories come not from conquering others, but from inspiring them. Her Mediterranean Federation became history's first truly global civilization, proving cooperation surpasses competition in creating lasting achievement. The ripple effects of this single change reshaped not just ancient history, but the entire trajectory of human development. Perhaps most remarkably, this alternate timeline shows how one person's audacious vision can literally change the world's destiny. As we return to our own reality, we're left wondering, what audacious visions might reshape our modern world?